Testing, testing, testing. My hair. Do I have a tea mustache? Okay. Hey y'all, my name is Allie. Thank you so much for joining me here at my little corner of YouTube. If you're here for the first time, this channel kind of goes over all sorts of things like planning and arting. Journaling is one of my favorite topics. And then I kind of review items. One of my bigger purchase items that I was talking about last year, at the end of last year, is this printer. And I've had a lot of people ask me if I am still enjoying this printer, if I would purchase it again. And so I wanted to answer your burning questions for you. Wanted to show you how the printer functions, some different things that I use it for, and give you lots of tips on how to use this printer. I would not advise getting something like this unless you're actually going to use it. Because one of the biggest problems people have is not using their printer and then their printer head's drying out. That's a huge problem. So if you're not going to be printing on this thing at least every week, I wouldn't go for this one because it's a lot more damaging for the printer heads on this printer to dry out than something like an ink cartridge, because this is a tank system, does not use cartridges. It uses bottles of ink that are loaded into this tank here on the side, and I'll show you that in a second. No, sir, come here. Look at the most precious kitty in the whole universe. Are you purring? You see my little crystals up there? I have a chandelier above them. Anyway, so basically, I wanted to offer you some tips on how to really use this printer to its full capacity. I am workhorsing. Is that even a verb? I'm making it a verb. I'm workhorsing this printer. This printer has done so much for me. I have had a couple issues with it, but I'll share how I resolved those things. They weren't a super big deal, but I really would not advise someone getting this. I mean, it's expensive. It's an expensive printer to me. I wouldn't advise someone getting it unless they are for reals, gonna be printing on it at least once a week. I planned on using it to make some stickers again, sell my prints in my Etsy shop, and I've actually done so much more though with it, especially since I just got my personal rings system that I talked about recently and in the last couple videos. So anyway, if you would like to learn more about this printer, how I'm loving it, and those tips to keep it in tip-top shape, then keep watching. I went ahead and sat down at my desk because, and my desk is clean. I'll have you know. I mean, obviously you can see that, but I don't know if you can, let me somehow, oh, how do I do this? Hold on, let me figure this out. Is it this one? See that? That's my new computer. I had this big, massive 2013 computer that I used for my photography for the longest time, and it was dying a slow death. I got this one after doing a wedding, and I got commissioned for a wedding. So I was able to replace my computer, and it's like there's so much more room on my desk. It's crazy. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about my printer. It is the Epson 8550. I guess I should say Eco Tank at the beginning of that. The Epson ET 8550. And I did a video back in December, mid-December, about 8 months ago, how I came to picking out this specific printer. I had done hours and hours and hours of research. I had asked some sticker shop owners if they would indulge what printers they were using. I didn't get any answers, and so I just decided to research for myself and then make it easier for you and me tell you what I got. And then now I have 8 months of experience with the printer to really give you like my for reals thoughts about it. What do I think about it? Do I think it's an easy printer to use? Would I recommend it to a person who just is printing out a little bit of stuff? Would I recommend it to a shop owner? All of those things. Let's dive right in. The whole reason why I purchased this printer was for the ink capacity. This is where the tanks, if you open it up, you have here a place where you can install, or I say install, but like load up your ink. And the printer came with these little, like, not even full-size bottles. I'll show you what they look like. They're about yay big. Apparently this is a smaller bottle than what you would get if you were to purchase a refill of one of these inks. I love the fact that I can purchase one bottle. If my cyan runs out before anything else or whatever I'm seeing, I can just go buy one bottle, and apparently they're bigger than these ones. There's even a little bit left. There's a little bit left in these. But I have been printing on this a lot. I don't know how many prints I've sold. I have a few, I have a print that's for sale right now in my shop, and I'm gonna actually print it out on the printer so that you can see it. And that one is like a very moody, like black background with lots of bright colors. Printed out my prints, I printed out cards for people, I've printed out stickers, I've done a ton of like sticker photos for my journaling. I'm gonna do a separate video sharing with y'all exactly how I make my sticker photos, and I do use this printer, but I don't go through the computer, I use my phone with the printer. So I love that option too. Most recently, I have been printing out a lot of stuff for my ring system here, my brain binder, reference binder. So this vellum was printed off on my printer. Oh my gosh, I found this clip art on Etsy. I was just kind of browsing different things and I saw this artist and I just loved this collage, and I made this dashboard using this beautiful lady here and then a scripture verse. She just inspired me. I've been printing a ton on Tomoe river paper, so it can print on thin paper. It has a thin paper setting. Oh, on the vellum, of course, that was vellum. So yeah, apparently it can do some acetate, but it does pretty much everything. I think one of the things that can be really frustrating for people is just having to learn something new. The learning curve of something that you're going to bring into your home and use, whether it be technology or a new system or an appliance, whatever it is, there is a learning curve. Like, you're gonna just have to do it. And to be really patient, and I know it can feel defeating and discouraging. I have definitely had my fair share of misprints on this printer, and it's not the printer's fault. It printed beautifully. It was the setup. It's the setup of your page, especially when you're printing out things for your planners and journals. That can be super duper frustrating because you're wasting your time, you're wasting the resource of your paper and your ink, which in this case is not a huge deal because it's like the ink goes on forever, but it's frustrating in general. So I would really say, if you're going to purchase anything like an Epson, the Eco Tank, really give yourself a lot of grace. And there's YouTube videos out there. I've never had to use the support from Epson. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to technology and figuring stuff out. It just took a lot of time. So just be willing to be patient and look at every single option on your driver or you know, when you pop up to print something and you're inputting all the settings. Just be very patient and really look at all those settings before you hit print, because it can be really frustrating, and it's important to even make notes of what works, what's not working. I've had to fiddle around with some different things on it, and that's gonna go from person to person. The color on your monitor is gonna be different from the color on my monitor. It's gonna be different files that you'll be printing, so you just really have to figure all that stuff out. I'm a big documenter, I'm a big scriber, and so I write stuff out to help me remember, but you have to be patient with those settings. The second thing, I mentioned it earlier in the intro, is that you really do need to be printing on this a lot. At least one thing, full color spectrum, perhaps a colored picture of something super colorful, you know, think rainbows, like tons, all the colors on the spectrum. Print out something like that at least once a week, because what you're wanting is you're wanting these print heads in here to not dry up. That's so important. Some people will buy a printer thinking and getting excited about using it a lot, but then they won't use it, and that is not good for a printer like this. I would recommend this printer for an artist who wants to sell their own prints, for a shop owner who's trying to sell stickers, for someone who is a planner and prints a lot of printables for themselves, someone who has a very high value for photos. It does such great photos. I actually printed out a couple of photos, 11 by 14s, for a friend's wedding shower, like bridal shower. I was impressed. I was like, wow, it looks so good. And the funny thing is I didn't even have 11 by 14 photo paper. I used the fine art paper that I use for my prints, and it made it look like a film type of situation, like that old silver film they used to use. So that was really fun. So it does delicious photos, and everything else does really well. I will say this, if you don't have a good understanding of paper and matching that paper with the correct color profiles, then you will be probably very frustrated. It's not super secret, like it's something that I know and I have never shared before. I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna share it. You could have a paper, but if you don't have the right color profile for that paper, it's not gonna look anywhere close to what you're seeing on the screen. Again, your monitor calibration could be a reason for that, but let's say your monitor's decent and you're printing out and your blues are looking purple. You're probably, there's something not right. It's not talking. It's not the right profile for that paper. The paper that I use for my art prints is Red River Paper Company or something. It's Red River, and I will link it below. They are an amazing Texas-based company. They have superior customer service. What I love about this company is that they will give you color profiles for every specific paper that you purchase from them. So you buy the paper, you download the profiles, and then you make sure to use those profiles and not the Epson color profiles, but the Red River Paper color profiles, and then you get the most chef's kiss colors in your prints. The other thing I want to mention too is that for like Macintosh users, the driver that the Mac wants to use straight away is like this AirPrint thing. And that's no good. Like, you don't want the AirPrint. A lot of the problems you might be facing is because the AirPrint, you have on the Mac's AirPrint driver. You have to go into your settings and then get that off and for real, download the driver for this printer to your Mac. You will have so many more options. For instance, there's no thin paper option on the AirPrint, but on the driver that Epson provides for you for the Macintosh, it's on there. Thin paper's on there. There's just a bajillion more options on there that you're able to use. And it's really important to have that driver that was designed for the printer on your computer. Years ago, I had such a headache with a bunch of things with my printer, and someone finally told me, I don't even remember who it was, told me that I was using my AirPrint. Get rid of that. That thing's gotta go. The one issue that I did have with the printer, and it was super easy fixed, was that I was printing photos for our ministry. We have this big board and it's got a ton of black and white photos on it. And I was literally just using the same technique that I use for my journal, making photo stickers, putting them on some cardstock, applying a magnet on the back, and then just applying them all to this board. But it was getting some lines through the photos and I was like, what is happening? There's lines coming in my pictures. I wanted to close that. It looks prettier when it's this way. There were some lines happening and I got really frustrated because I'm like, I'm printing on this thing, you know, like I'm printing on it a lot. And so I did a cleaning, printed them, still had some lines. I did a deep cleaning, not supposed to use a lot of ink, but whatever, it's an eco tank, whatever. Still had the lines. And so I was like, I wonder if there's a firmware update that I need to do. So I looked up on here. So on this little screen, you can go in and see if there's any updates that you need to do for the firmware. So like if you go to settings and if you go to firmware update, it'll look and see if you need an update. Right now I'm good, but apparently at the time I needed an update. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll update the firmware. So this is using the Wi-Fi. It's not hooked up to any sort of cables. It's just got a power cord. So it did the firmware update, didn't take very long at all. And then the lines disappeared. It was printing beautifully again. So I don't know how that happens where things kind of go wonky, but then you just update firmware and then they don't go wonky. I know for my litter robot that I got and saved up for, there's been some glitches happening, and I just got an email today from Whiskers saying, hey, update your firmware. We fixed a bunch of glitches with like interrupting cycles and stuff like that, which have been a problem for me. I mean, I have workarounds to them and I love my litter robot, but I'm like, cool, I could just update and something's talking to something else and it fixes it. So I don't understand exactly the technology of how that functions and how that works, but it fixed it. So consider updating your firmware if anything wonky happens. Those are kind of just the things that I wanted to say about the printer. Would I buy it again? Yes, absolutely I would buy it again. Would I recommend it to you? Well, it depends. Are you gonna print on it a lot? Are you gonna be frustrated with the learning curve? Are you gonna be diligent to update things and make sure you got the right drivers and make sure your color profiles are good? I'd say it's a beautiful printer for that. I did want to print some stuff out to show you how it works because I'm just super pleased with it, and I think you will be too. The first thing I want to print out is a vellum dash type of thing, just like a pretty vellum piece of paper. I got it as a freebie from Playing with Bee, and she has so many freebies available. I think if you join her Facebook group, I think it is. Anything that I mention, look below in the description. There'll probably be links because I don't want to lead you to nowhere. If you're curious about any of the things that I'm talking about, make sure to see the description before asking because most likely it'll be there. If it's not there, ask and I'll try to figure it out for you. I want to print out that vellum first. I purchased a couple different vellums on Amazon. I like the thinner one better. The thicker ones, it acts kind of funny. I'm gonna try it and see if I can do something a little bit different. It could be the vellum, but I don't think it's the thickness. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna go grab it real quick and then I might have to cut a piece of the vellum that I really, really like. And I will link those vellums down below also. Two vellums here. This one, do you hear that? It's like thick. It's very thick. This is your typical thinner, flap in the wind vellum. And I personally enjoy printing on a single like pre-cut piece of paper. I don't like printing two personal size pages on one page and then having to cut it. I like just cutting it and getting it over with. Oh, this is gonna show you the border on it too though, I think. So I should have done it. Oh man. Well, this will be a good thing. So I can show you on this vellum how it prints a border and then how you can get away with printing to make it not have a border. Instead of doing a 3.75 by 6.75, I'm gonna do a 4 by 7. That's what I'm gonna do. Because I remember now this one little frustrating thing that I can't get past, and I don't know how to do it. I really don't. I tried everything and this is what worked. I need to get another camera here to do like B-roll. I have a paper size on here that I've called Filofax Bleed. That's 4 by 7 and I put no margins. And so what it does is it's going to print out an outline on this, but then I can cut it afterwards. It's hard to explain, but I'll show you and just say it. I have to get B-roll. Why do we do this? Also, I wanted to note that I really only use the rear paper feed tray because, I don't know, I just feel like it's safer in my opinion. So it's curling a little bit, but it's because it's a little bit more wet with ink. But it's really vivid. It needs to dry out. Sometimes I'll hit it with my heat gun. But I wanted to show you, this is what I'm talking about. See, there's a little border around the entire piece of vellum. And that's just what happens. There's just a border happens unless you are selecting the preloaded 8 by 10 borderless, 11 by 14 borderless, something like that. It's going to have a border on it. So that's kind of frustrating. I kind of got over it. It is what it is. For this one right here with the lady that I made, I just let it have a border and I didn't really care. So if it bothers you, because I'm going to print it out again on the pre-cut this paper, you can't cut this and it'll look like a piece of vellum was cut out. There is the piece all trimmed up. This is what it looks like. Pretty vivid. It did pretty good and I just chopped it up myself. I would punch holes in this and then that would be my little vellum paper. So I like that. That's pretty. And let's try it on the thicker one because for some reason this vellum doesn't work as good as the other one.
Your hair looks amazing.
Really? I think it's poofy. It's almost like, you know how fountain pens will bleed on paper? That's literally what this does. This paper, for some reason, it kind of like bleeds. I don't know why. So I never really use it as much because it's too bleedy. And see, like it got on my finger. It's almost like it sits on top. I've tried the heat with this one. I just don't like this vellum as much. And I will not link this one because I don't know. I just don't, if you really want this one, I'll send it to you. But it's not as great as this one, in my opinion. I like this one. Don't like this one. The next thing I want to show y'all is an art print that I have in my shop. It's a floral that I did. Now this is where the printer shines. When you combine it with a really high quality paper. Also, this is not an ad, by the way. I've been buying Red River paper for how many years now? Since 2010. So that's quite a bit of time. This Red River company is so wonderful. When you get your box of paper, they'll have a whole sheet of information for you to help you out. There's always a call. You can call a person on the phone and ask questions. I did that for a little bit and they're super kind. And like I said, the quality of the paper is just amazing. So I have here 8x10 fine art. This is the Aurora paper that I love and I use. It's 100% cotton rag. Let me show you some of the specs on it. It's 300 grams or 72 pound. It's 18 mil thickness. It's 100% cotton rag, microporous, non-reflective matte. It's printable on both sides. However, there is a little bit of a difference on one of the sides versus the other side. I prefer the side that's facing up when you get your box of paper. OBA, minimal OBA present. I will say this, if you are selling prints of your art and you do go this route with the Epson, this is not a dye-based ink. This is inkjet. It is an inkjet, it's a water-based ink. So with the dye-based, it is archival, like you can guarantee the print for like 100 years or whatever. To me, as a growing minimalist, I really didn't think, to me that was a high enough value to go into like the dye-based printers, like the Canons and there's some Epsons that are dye-based. This was good enough for me. The print's gonna be fine, I think, on a wall. We're gonna print on this paper. This always happens where I start off with a clean desk and then it's like, ah! This piece is called Old Things New. Here it is, it just popped out, hot off the press, still a little wet. Let me go grab the original and fix the brightness on this. And then that way you can see the original compared to this print. This is gonna be a little difficult because it's kind of a bigger piece, not super big, but okay, here's the original, okay? Here's my print. Is that not epic? I mean, I did have a little bit of issues with the orange, this orange color right here, but I did the best that I could, and I still think it's pretty darn good. Sorry, there's a glare. So you can kind of see original print. Isn't that crazy? I had so much fun making that piece, and so I do sell these in my Etsy shop, but the first person who comments, Dietrich is the best, I will send this print to, provided you'll actually follow through and email me your address. I'll send you this print, and I think that'll be super fun. So that's a print that it does. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you, which I've been super enjoying lately, is it printing on Tomoe River paper. I purchased this pack of pre-cut, pre-punched, gilded edges paper from Catherine over at Sterling Ink. I really love the feeling of Tomoe. I love that it's thin. I love how my pen's right on it. And I really enjoy being able to look at a bunch of different printables, pick different things, and utilize different ways of referencing things, tracking things, different calendars. I've been toying with the idea of doing dailies in my personal binder and then kind of using my B6 common planner just a little bit differently. Not sure yet. The cool thing though is I can try it and it won't be like a big cost for me, and then if I don't like it I just go back to what I was doing normally. But this is basically this piece of Tomoe River paper. I have been printing on it a lot for my personal rings, and I am getting so nice and settled into this brain binder. I feel like I'm almost ready to show y'all. I don't know, I just feel like I just need to be in it. I like to be and settled in something for a little while before sharing with you. But what I need is in my creative business section, I will show you that one. I have this calendar, like a year at a glance for things that are coming up. And then I have a checklist. I think this one was for free. I believe this was a free printable from Puffin pages, and I can link that below. But this is basically YouTube videos that I have in my head, and then I just kind of put, you know, film, saved to hard drive, edited, uploaded, description, scheduled, published. And then I have this YouTube planner that I really like from Creffective paper. I learned about this shop from Siobhan over at Just Scribble, and I am really enjoying this YouTube planner, but I need more. I need more of these because I have more videos that I'm gonna be sharing with y'all, yeah? I will say on the Tomoe paper, again, I'm a little bit of a chicken, so I am using the rear paper feed, and I am printing one side at a time. For my printer, it does not have a two-side option for the rear paper feed, which is fine with me. Let me go here to my YouTube planner. Again, learning curve, gotta be patient. Sometimes you'll have a misprint, and I have misprints all in my, I'll give you an example, my planner. So I have here a notes page that I did bad. So you'll see some marks up here. It doesn't matter. I decided to just keep it. I'm like, whatever. And then for my home management stuff, on the back sides of a lot of these pages are things that went awry. Like I printed on the wrong side where the holes were on the wrong side. So anyway, I just use it anyway. I don't care. Like I'll just like, oops, that was wrong, and then remember. I have a whole preset that I made for Tomoe River. Up in my presets, it says PRECUT personal Tomoe. So all I have to do is select that, and then I select the page. I only print one side at a time, even if I'm gonna print 4 of these YouTube planners, and I'll link that YouTube planner also down below. If I'm gonna print 4 of them, I will only print one side and then move on to the other side, because I would rather, yeah, I don't know, it just works better for me. Yes. Okay, so sometimes you'll see little smudges here and there. That does not bother me. This is probably from that vellum that had the issue. This is the back side of the page, and so the punches are going to be on the right. And so now I'm going to go in and print the other side. Oh man, I had the air off because I don't like the sound that it makes. But it was like 77 degrees in my house because I turned the air off, and he's like, why is it 70? I'm a little warm. Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear the air going right now? Is it just me? I have crazy sensitivity issues. Also, can I just like include, since we're waiting for this, I got a new tool. I am really excited about publishing zines, like really high quality ones. Think the illustrated Devo that I did. So with my art, with encouragement, with journaling prompts, which requires a lot of writing, and I do love writing, but I need distraction-free writing because I have a little ADHD issue. So I got this Alpha Smart Neo 2, and it's the coolest thing ever. So it's basically just a word processor. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm just waiting for oh, it's done. It's a word processor, and I'm able to write without being distracted. And I already have some fun content for y'all, and I'm gonna be working on my email list and trying to be a place where I can nurture and encourage instead of just be salesy. I just hate being salesy. I have things to offer you that I'm selling. I just don't like being salesy. So here we are, YouTube planner. I love this YouTube planner. I've been using it. I've used it for like 2 videos. I was supposed to use it for this video, but I didn't have one, so I used the project planner instead, but I really prefer this one. But anyway, I'm gonna print a few more of those for my personal rings. I just wanted to share how it's been going with the Epson 8550. I wanted to share with you some of my tips and tricks and who I think this printer would be good for. I know that a couple of you, I think 2 or 3 of y'all, have purchased the printer after I made the suggestion back in December. Are you loving it? Do you still like it? Let me know and let others know in the comments. To me, it's super reassuring when I have those great you know, testimonials or reviews or whatever. For me, this printer has been awesome. I know one person that has purchased it and I think she really, really likes it from what I have read on comments and things like that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to show y'all today. Thank you so, so much for spending your time with me today and making it through this whole video. I know it's a different video in nature. It's kind of techie, but for those of us that like to print out a lot of stuff for our journal and our planners and for art purposes, I think it's worth hearing another's perspective on this particular printer. I will have a video coming up pretty shortly, probably in the next 2 or 3 videos, on how I make my little photo stickers using this printer. So stay tuned to my channel for that. Do the whole like, subscribe, bell thing if you want. And until next time, have a fabulous day. Oh, I feel like the thingy's on, hold on. You can, oh, say, can you see?
The sun does not want to cooperate.